the impact and influence of the Louisiana Super Bowl. The governor is very sorry he could not be here as a pressing matter came up at the Capitol. So let's just hop right in. Following the game in February, the LSU E.J. Orso School of Business conducted a statewide economic impact to qualify the result of the event. And what it showed is that this wasn't just a football game. It actually delivered one of the largest economic impacts in the NFL history to Louisiana. The Super Bowl resulted in a $1.25 billion economic impact to the state of Louisiana. I'm going to say that one more time, $1.25 billion. That's the second most financially impactful Super Bowl of all time and more than doubles the impact of the 2013 Super Bowl. The success would not have been possible without the people sitting on the stage here today. Susan Bourgeois, Secretary of LED, thank you. Michael Heck, Greater New Orleans, Inc., and the Super Bowl czar. Marcus Brown, Super Bowl Host Committee Chair. Jay Cicero, Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. And last but not least, the owner of the New Orleans Saints and the Pelicans, Ms. Gail Benson, without whom and her dedication to this Louisiana, this would not exist. Thank you, Ms. Gail. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite Ms. Gail up here to share a few words. Ms. Benson.
Thank you, Cameron, and good morning, everyone. I am really very excited to be here with you all today to celebrate the success of Super Bowl 59 and its tremendous economic impact. By any metric, this Super Bowl was an incredible financial win for the people of Louisiana. And as with any great win, it took a great team to achieve this victory. Fortunately, our team was blessed with great leadership, talented and selfless teammates, and a full commitment from the public and private sector at every level. One of the signs in our locker room features a quote from Harry Truman, and it says, "It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." I have always agreed that this is the best way to build a culture of trust, and the best leaders I have had the privilege to work with believe also in that motto. Today, I would like to recognize some people who richly deserve credit for putting on a spectacular and rewarding Super Bowl. Jay Cicero and his team at the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation were our partners. They were our partners in bringing this event to New Orleans, managing and inspiring the thousands of volunteers, putting on events and working around the clock with the NFL to make this the best Super Bowl in history. Jay and his team are true professionals, and we could not host the Super Bowl or other major sporting events, entertainment as professionally, seamlessly, and effectively without them. We appreciate you, Jay, more than you know. And Marcus Brown served as the chair of our host committee and went over Marcus went over and above in giving his time and talent to leading our group over the years leading into hosting. I am certain that Marcus did not realize how much work it was going to be, but he never complained, never missed a meeting, and offered genuine leadership and wise counsel to host committee and its members through the entire process. We are grateful to Marcus. Thank you. There are no words to show our appreciation to you. As I said earlier, the Super Bowl was such an incredible success because the full commitment, cooperation, and coordination of effort of the public and private sector. Our public officials at every level worked in lockstep to ensure this game and surrounding events was safe, secure, convenient, and most of all, unforgettable. Governor Landry displayed great leadership in committing state resources to tackle and compete critical infrastructure repairs and improvements that not only allowed us to be a successful host, but will benefit our residents and visitors for many years to come. In addition, despite this event taking place just weeks after the New Year's terrorist attack, Governor Landry promised these events would be safe and delivered every health and safety resource at his disposal to keep that promise. My sincere thank you to Governor Landry, and I'm so sorry he couldn't be with us. And I thank you all for the thousands of law enforcement personnel and all those in your administration who kept everyone who participated safe and secure. I would also like to thank and acknowledge our local government leaders in New Orleans, Jefferson, and surrounding parishes for working in such a coordinated and cooperative manner. The communication and complete commitment from government at every level was a model for future hosts and proof, once again, that nobody puts on big events better than we do. I wish to also thank Mayor LaToya Cantrell, President Cynthia Lee Shin, the New Orleans City Council, Jefferson Council, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, Sheriff Joe Lapinto, and members of their team for their tireless and much appreciated work. I would also like to recognize Michael Heck, CEO of GNO, for agreeing to serve as Governor Landry's coordinator for Super Bowl 59, infrastructure and economic development. Thank you, Michael, for taking on such a demanding role and performing a difficult task so successfully. And most importantly, I would like to thank the people of Louisiana for doing what we do best, provide the greatest hospitality in the world in an exuberant, authentic way that is truly what made Super Bowl 59 so unforgettable for the tens of thousands of visitors who experienced the week. From the thousands of host committee volunteers to every hotel, restaurant, airport team members, it is the citizens of New Orleans and Louisiana who are most responsible for the success of this event. I am proud to be considered one of you and humbled by your love and service to our great community. As we celebrate the economic legacy and impact of Super Bowl, let us also remember an even more important legacy of hosting one of the world's largest events. That legacy is a reminder of what we are capable of as a city, state, and people when we come together in a common cause. We take great pride that on any given Saints game day, we are unifying people to come together. The benefits of having an NFL team in New Orleans and an NBA team are clearly on display here today because without the team, there is no Super Bowl. And today, we announce a record $1.25 billion in statewide economic impact. I know Cameron said it, but it can never be said enough. 1.25 and $658 million in total spending by the nearly 115,000 visitors that attended Super Bowl week. Add to that, a staggering $82 million was generated in state and local tax revenue from hosting the game. I know Secretary Bourgeois will talk in great detail about these numbers. And while the financial impact is amazing, I take the most pride in the fact that we can showcase our great city and state and the great work of everyone here in this room to a global audience. That economic impact is priceless. We have seen it time and time again in times of crises, but we have also proven what we can accomplish by showing off what is best and impossible to replicate about our state. Quite simply, there is no better city, no better state, and no better people to host the Super Bowl than New Orleans. That is why I'm honored to report that we have already begun work with the partners you see here today on securing our next Super Bowl in the not-too-distant future. While there is much more work to be done and nothing is ever guaranteed, I am confident the experience we collectively delivered to the NFL will prove a powerful and persuasive case that this game belongs back in New Orleans as soon as the schedule allows. I will continue to be our biggest supporter to the commissioner and other NFL owners, knowing that we have the incredible leadership with Governor Landry and his complete dedication to making the next Super Bowl bigger and better. Thank you all again for being great teammates and delivering a massive win for our state. Now, let's go do it again. Thank you.
Height difference. Thank you so much, Mrs. Benson, for your hospitality, your gracious ambassadorship for our city and our state and all that you do for us. And for Governor Landry, the legislature, and for LED, this event was really never about just 1 week in February. We saw Super Bowl 59 as a strategic inflection point, a platform to launch Louisiana's next chapter. And thanks to our Louisiana Now Pavilion, we did exactly that. Throughout Super Bowl week, over 4,000 business leaders, investors, and innovators visited this multifaceted space. Many of them left seeing our state not just for our music, our food, and our hospitality that they were used to. They saw our talent, they saw our infrastructure, and most importantly, they saw our potential. That includes companies like Hyundai, which was finalizing its decision on where to build its first North American steel mill when they visited our Super Bowl and our Louisiana Now Pavilion. They saw what Louisiana had to offer, and just 6 weeks later, we stood at the White House to announce a $6 billion investment in Ascension Parish. We also used the pavilion in that moment to launch LA.io, our first statewide brand, division, and strategy focused on building a future-ready economy powered by startups and next-generation technology. This is all part of a new model for economic development, one that's proactive, collaborative, and focused on long-term prosperity for all of Louisiana. It is the strategy that is positioning Louisiana to win, and it's everything we do at LED. And this strategy includes our whole-of-government approach. It means infrastructure projects like the $70 billion total in road, lighting, and drainage improvements surrounding Super Bowl venues didn't just beautify, it laid groundwork for permanent economic use. It means safety partnerships between local, state, and federal authorities weren't just about security. They restored confidence in our public and our public spaces. It means the media spotlight, coverage of the Louisiana Now Pavilion alone, reached 210 million people and had a publicity value of more than $6 million. This coverage didn't just tell the story of celebration, it told the story of a state on the rise. Now the question is, where do we go from here? And the answer is simple: we build. We build on the momentum that has gotten us nearly $62 billion in capital investment in less than 18 months. We build on the success of our small businesses like Creativity Justified, one of LED's growth leaders' small businesses, which created the NFL's official New Orleans guide, elevating 59 diverse, locally owned companies in the process. We build on the fact that our project pipeline at LED right now is up 500% since Governor Landry took office. And above all, we build on the pride and the promise of this moment, because Super Bowl 59 wasn't a finish line, it was a starting gun. So let me end with this. To Governor Landry, this initiative would not have been possible without his leadership. To everyone on this stage, your partnership was the cornerstone to this success. And to every Louisianian that played a part, thank you. You showed the world what makes our state special, and you proved that we are more than just a great host for big events. We are a great home for big opportunities. This is Louisiana's moment, and we are, without question, positioned to win. And so what I'd like to do, almost metaphorical, is invite Michael up to wrap up this whole Super Bowl piece and deliver it with a big bow around it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Susan, and it's great to be here this morning with with so many friends and really with the team that literally and operationally made this happen. It's awesome to be back together again. When I think about the economic impact of this event, the first way we talk about it is the numbers that President Henry talked about and that Susan talked about, and these are enormous numbers. The 1.25 billion, the 658 million spent. I think the one that actually is the most important to our state, and it kind of gets buried, but it's a headline of 83 million in new state tax revenue and local tax revenue. Those are the funds that we're using to build our schools and our roads and pay for our public services. That's the actual R and the ROI of the Super Bowl. Also, the people who have come through, 115,000 people participating at the Louisiana Now Pavilion, including 50 Cent via a memorable Zoom, not on my bingo card this year. 45 states, 9 countries, and 128 million viewers, making it worldwide one of the most watched events in a decade. So that's kind of the headline, but then you think about the other level of benefits. When you talk about the infrastructure improvements that were done through the support of the city and the state and Sewer and Water Board and the Saints Pelican Organization and Entergy and the Sports Foundation, Arts Council, and many others, this is, we say 550 because that was the original number, I think, Rob, that I gave to you. It actually rose to over 1,000. And these are hundreds of blocks of streets, and these are hundreds of lights, and these are sidewalks, and there are issues as small as a crack in the pavement to as big as what do we do with Plaza Tower. Over 20 new original artwork from pieces of art from great local artists like Terrence Osborne and B. Mike, but also from national artists like Shepard Fairey. These are things that are going to benefit the residents and pay them back for the for the inconvenience, because we did about maybe 10 years of deferred maintenance in about 6 or 9 months, because they're going to benefit from them for decades to come. So that's one of the benefits. Another part about this that I think we alluded to it certainly when Mrs. Benson talks about the next Super Bowl prospect, is that this was not just about having an outstanding game. It was not about the one game. It was an audition absolutely for the next Super Bowl, to the owners, to Roger Goodell. It was an audition for the next convention that Walt, that you and your team are going to bring in, to the next tourist that's going to come in, to the next economic development prospect that I'm going to work on. There you are, with Secretary Bourgeois, as well as with the Senate President. And so the pressure was not just to have a great week and a great Sunday. There was a lot of future value that was going to come to us if we pulled it off as we needed to, and as we did. But finally, and this is the part that is most frustrating when we talk about the value of doing something like this, and particularly when people say, oh, how much did you spend on it, and what's the return, and they're looking at it in a very singular way. One of the lines that I appreciate most that comes from Governor Landry and his leadership and from Secretary Bourgeois is this need of us to change the narrative, change the way people think about and talk about New Orleans and the region and the state. And what people saw in person and the over 100 million saw globally was a city that looked great, that felt safe, that felt great, that smelled great. It's true, and it's noticed, and I think it was best summed up, I don't know if he's here, but by Jeff Duncan, the sports writer, had this incredibly majestic quote. He said, "The city never looked so beautiful, its landmarks so majestic. The cathedral, the Sanger, and the Dome were all resplendent. Downtown blazed to life like a Pixar movie. We should all take a bow." And so I'm here today with enormous gratitude to everybody here that created economic benefit to the state on so many, many levels and for so many years to come. It was the honor of a lifetime. It was a thrill. It was a lot of fun. And looking back on it now with the benefit of time, I think there's a real sense of pride for what we did. So we should all take a bow. So thank you so much. Secretary?
Yeah, I'll speak to the state piece. I don't know the city's investment side. Purely from so we spent $10 million, which we supported the Sports Foundation with as part of the host committee package that they matched with an immense amount of private funding and other dollars. And then in the session right before leading up to Michael being asked to be on point with what needed to be done around infrastructure and the work that we were going to do there was an additional $14 million allocated.
Yeah, there was some reporting after the Super Bowl from local businesses who felt like they didn't get sort of the windfall they expected from this event. I'm wondering if there were any sort of lessons learned about, for the next Super Bowl, about how this could sort of help some of these brick-and-mortar businesses who were sort of frustrated.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Let me first say I'm a recovering small business owner. I was in the restaurant business for a different part of my life, and so I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for what these business owners went through. That said, I think it was Dickie Brennan, one of our great restaurateurs, who had a quote, I'm paraphrasing Dickie, but he said, during the Super Bowl, because there's so many activations and because a lot of them are free or people are going to them, there were some great days and some not so great days, but he kind of echoed what I said, which is that the brand benefit that we're getting from this in terms of the tourists and the future conventions and the future dollars that will come into my restaurants, that is the benefit. You have to look at it holistically. That being said, one of the lessons that we learned in terms of infrastructure, and I give a lot of credit here, particularly to Gilbert Montana, who's here with us today, to Joe Threat, who works with him, to the folks at DOTD, is that when there was a disruption, because let's say there was a barricade blocking somebody's business, they began to learn that they could literally text me, and I would make a phone call, and we'd have it moved if at all possible. So there are going to be disruptions, and I think that what business owners want is responsiveness, and I think we got pretty good at that. I think that's the biggest lesson for the future.
Obviously, none of this happened without the Saints. Can you speak to where we are in terms of a long-term contract with the state right now?
I think that question is above my pay grade. So I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't answer.
Are we under contract with the state until
We-
the end of this season?
We're working on it. The papers are almost signed. It's so close, but that's all I know for now. Thank you.
You mentioned that your work is underway to secure the next Super Bowl, and you had said sooner rather than later. I know that the earliest that the Super Bowl can return to New Orleans is 2030, since the next year have already been awarded as 2029 trip with Mardi Gras. Are you actively looking at 2030 as the year to bring the Super Bowl back to New Orleans?
We're not really focusing in on any particular year at this point. It's way too early to do that. However, I think it was said earlier that having a great Super Bowl here is our best sales effort for the next one. And so we're constantly talking to the NFL, especially wrapping up everything that happened this past Super Bowl. And we talked to them about future Super Bowls, but no year has been designated. And I think what we did, though, was put ourselves in position to be favored, hopefully, to get the next one. So what year that's going to be is not on the table yet, but we're constantly talking to the NFL as we talk to the NCAA and other events, rights holders about future years and future events.
So there were a lot of security changes that were made to enhance security around the front quarter, given the terror attack that happened prior to the Super Bowl. It's obviously caused major traffic delays for locals and people who were in town. Is there any plans to address that moving forward? And will that be the same type of security for other major events that are in the front quarter?
Yeah, I would defer to the city actually on that question. I don't know that I enlisted. Yeah, so it certainly is. One thing I can say just to address that, and we purposely after the game walked the full length of Bourbon Street, including the purple carpet, which was a nice touch. And despite, or maybe because of that level of security, the street felt wonderful. People were having a joyous and I think uninhibited time. You can interpret that. And so I just give an enormous amount of credit to the city, state, federal, everybody who came in to provide that environment. And there were inevitably going to be some inconveniences, but the experience that people experienced is, I think, something that the governor had promised back in June, that New Orleans was the safest city in America for that weekend.